All right, welcome to a rare ultra early morning video, bright and early in the morning. So I forgot to leave a comment after my lake meditation yesterday. So uh, I do remember it though. I remember that I had to check time twice. Was immensely anxious about um, not knowing or trusting the flow of time and uh, entirely and either being late or missing entirely my commitment at 8 p.m. So yeah, that's as easy as it needs to be. So we've got another meditation, like meditation, we could do. And we've also got let's knock off the rest of the videos. That'll be nice to have that out of the way, and then yeah. So let's do that. Okay, so the next one will be awakening through conflict, and then we'll get all of the videos out of the way.
Oh, I thought I'd share this with you. There's a cartoon of Henry VIII, and he's with one of his wives, and they're working with a mediator. And the mediator is saying, "You say off with her head, but what I hear is I feel neglected." I can imagine that mediator didn't last long. Okay, so again, conflict is an expression of emotional stuckness, that we're trying to get needs met and it's not working. And it's also egoic stuckness, that we're stuck in a pattern and living in an identity that's confined. So offering attention is part of our evolutionary unfolding. It's just moving from that egoic state to a more enlarged space of awareness. Now, that's the simple nutshell summary. Now I'm going to spend the rest of the time with the challenges to what I just put out, because there's a lot of challenges. And I want to clarify that not blaming does not mean that we put aside discriminating wisdom. It doesn't mean that we don't recognize where there's could be harm to us and protect ourselves. It just means that we're not buying into the aversive blame of you're bad, it's your fault. Challenge number one, biggest one of them all, is but it seems as if the other person, or I, really am wrong, really am bad. It really is my fault, or it really is your fault. It really seems that way. So, what do we do when it really, really seems that way? And I can say that in the first stretch of that conversation with Jonathan, from my view, he was wrong. That was just the mindset. What happens when we're living inside that? And I want to say that we've had tens of thousands of years of conditioning, part of the whole tribal mentality. And we spent 1,000 times as long in tribes as we have not in tribes. The tribal cohesion was built on creating an other that was wrong or bad. That's the way it worked. The other was different, was a threat, was bad. And so when we feel insecure, unloved, or unsafe, we're rigged to focus on the perceived cause and make it bad. That person's the danger, they're bad. And we fixate, we scan for difference, even difference in view. Like Jonathan had a different view. He wasn't prioritizing the same thing I was prioritizing. Bad. I've said many times that phrase, the world is divided into those who think they're right. And that's the whole phrase. So we have the very, very deep rigging, and it happens more quickly than we're even aware of, to turn others into an unreal other and in some way have a less than and better than, and sometimes it's what keeps wars going. I was sent this just a couple of days ago. Man writes, I was walking across the bridge one day and I saw a man standing on the edge about to jump off. So I ran over and said, stop, don't do it. Why shouldn't I? He said. I said, well, there's so much to live for. He said, like what? And I said, well, are you religious or an atheist? He said, religious. I said, me too. Are you Christian or Buddhist? He said, Christian. I said, me too. Are you Catholic or Protestant? He said, Protestant. I said, me too. Are you Episcopalian or Baptist? He said, Baptist. I said, wow, me too. Are you the Baptist Church of God or the Baptist Church of the Lord? He said, Baptist Church of the God. Me too. Are you the original Baptist Church of God or are you Reformed Baptist Church of God? He said, Reformed. Me too. Are you Reformed Baptist Church of God Reformation of 1879 or Reformed Baptist Church of God Reformation of 1915? He said, Reformed Baptist Church of God Reformation of 1915. I said, die, heretic scum, and I pushed him off.
That's hilarious. I love that. Oh, that's really funny.
Oh, I thought that was great.
Yeah, me too.
It's so true. Even in the group that is the group that we identify with, when there's differences, all of a sudden there's this huge divide. It's painfully true. So the first critical discipline for us that is evolving us from the tribal conditioning of self, other, and bad other is really having our antennas up for it. And there's the word should or shouldn't is one of the best words to keep an eye out for. Anytime we're in the mode of blame, in that limbic system grip, we're not going to be able to process the inner experience that needs attention and healing. It just keeps us from processing. So people will ask, well, what about really horrific crimes? Don't you then make somebody wrong, or isn't that really bad? And it's no different. Whatever you're experiencing from that horrific crime, you can't process it unless you put down the idea of right and wrong. The phrase I draw on a lot, which came from a movie, came from a description in the movie of an African tribe, the Ku, in Matobu. And they say that if someone's murdered, they have this drowning man ritual. The family goes to the edge of the river, and the killer is taken out in a boat and bound up so he can't swim, and then dropped into deep waters. And then the family has to make a decision. And they can either let him drown or they can swim out and save him. They have to swim out and save him. And the Ku believe that if the family let the person drown, in other words, if they seek revenge, they'll have justice, but they'll never heal from the wound of loss. On the other hand, if they save him, and they admit that life isn't always just, they save him. And if they accept the reality of the loss, that very act can begin to heal their sorrow. And here's how they describe it. They say, vengeance is a lazy form of grief. If we really took that in, vengeance, meaning any time that in some way we're trying to get back at, we're putting somebody down, we're blaming, we're resenting, in some way it's a cover for, it's keeping us from the place that's really needing attention. It's easier than paying attention, but it prevents us from connecting with ourselves and then being able to connect with others. So the primary challenge really is one of our kind of addiction to blame and the seduction of blame. And the primary teaching is that in the moments that we can wake up out of that and see it and let go some, we become empowered to heal. There's a little story of a man who's visiting a spiritual master, and he says, "My life is like shattered glass. My soul is tainted with evil. Is there any hope for me?" "Yes," said the master. "There is something whereby each broken thing is bound again and every stain made clean." "What?" the man asked. "Forgiveness," was the response. "Whom do I forgive?" "Everyone. Life, God, your neighbor, especially yourself." "Well, how is that done?" "By this very understanding that no one is to blame," said the master. "No one. No one is to blame." It's a very powerful mantra. No one is to blame. It's no one's fault.
All right, yeah, so that's a good one. So no one is to blame. It's kind of reminds me of Hanlon's razor. Never attributed to malice, what is adequately explained by stupidity. So it's kind of not quite as a charitable one, but it's so easy to build up like kind of a oppressive, mean character. And that's really often not the case. So I need to take a quick break. When I come back, we'll close out the remaining 2 videos. All right, I'm back. So yeah, let's finish up. We got 2 more videos: blame and empathy.
How many of you are blamers? How many of you, when something goes wrong, the first thing you want to know is whose fault it is? Hi, my name is Brene. I'm a blamer. Let me just tell you this quick story. So this is a couple of years ago when I first realized the magnitude to which I blame. I'm in my house. I have on white slacks and a pink sweater set, and I'm drinking a cup of coffee in my kitchen. It's a full cup of coffee. I drop it on the tile floor. It goes into a million pieces, splashes up all over me. And a millisecond after it hit the floor, right out of my mouth is this: "Damn you, Steve." Who's my husband? Because let me tell you how fast this works for me. So Steve plays water polo with a group of friends, and the night before he went to go play water polo. And I said, "Hey, make sure you come back at 10, because I can never fall asleep into your home." And he got back like at 10:30. And so I went to bed a little bit later than I thought. Ergo, my second cup of coffee that I probably would not be having had he come home when we discussed. Therefore, and so the rest of that story is I'm cleaning up the kitchen. Steve calls, caller ID. I'm like, "Hey." He's like, "Hey, what's going on, babe?" What's going on? So I'll tell you exactly what's going on. I'm cleaning up the coffee that spilled all, like dial tone. Because he knows. How many of you go to that place when something bad happens, the first thing you want to know is whose fault is it? I'd rather it be my fault than no one's fault. Because why? Why? Because it gives us some semblance of control. But here, if you enjoy blaming, this is where you should stick your fingers in your ear and do the no thing, because I'm getting ready to ruin it for you. Because here's what we know from the research. Blame is simply the discharging of discomfort and pain. It has an inverse relationship with accountability. Accountability, by definition, is a vulnerable process. It means me calling you and saying, hey, my feelings are really hurt about this, and talking. It's not blaming. Blaming is simply a way that we discharge anger. People who blame a lot seldom have the tenacity and grit to actually hold people accountable, because we expend all of our energy raging for 15 seconds and figuring out whose fault something is. And blaming is very corrosive in relationships, and it's one of the reasons we miss our opportunities for empathy. Because when something happens and we're hearing a story, we're not really listening. We're in the place where I was, making the connections as quickly as we can about whose fault something was.
All right, so that's a pretty good one. I think people can relate to that. So let's go on to empathy next.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. And we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now, I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
All right, so that one was all right. Yeah, so I guess that commenter kind of made it yeah, so instead of just being like, you know, just to be able to sit with the problem rather than being like, oh, at least, or like, you know, think about something else, or like, you know, it's like, you know, that can really help. The next is the readings. I'm gonna do the formal and informal practice first. So the informal practice is a bit tough, just the way my life is kind of designed. Yeah, you know, and then with having work off the table, which I think makes a ton of sense on this channel. You know, my communications are not like the example is I called the phone company about changing my phone plan. This was the 3rd time I transferred, so I didn't have to call the phone company yesterday. I kind of designed my life to be pretty low stress, so I really didn't have to do anything like that. So I guess I did have to call to reschedule an appointment yesterday. So I called to reschedule an appointment. What did you want for them? How did you want to be treated? So I wanted to fix my double booking on my calendar. and keep both of my appointments. So what did you actually get? It was great. It was great. Really easy. Surprised at how smoothly it went comparatively. Other times, once I navigated through the automated menu. What do you think the other person wanted? Yeah, I mean, they wanted to reschedule me. How do you feel during and after? A lot of relief. So yeah, and then what do you notice now? I actually I noticed a lot of surprise. This went really smoothly, and I feel like I forget the times when administrative personal work goes well, and as such I have a bit of a dysmorphic view on how much effort it will take. All right, so and dysmorphic, I guess, isn't a word, so we'll go distorted. Okay, and then in that same vein, let's do. So I got a prescription refill. So what did you want? I wanted to. I didn't run out of my medication. I used the online portal and didn't even need to talk to anyone. It was really easy. Everything was in my profile. Just needed a few clicks. So what do you think the other person wanted? So there was no other person. It was all online. Online. Typically I do go in and interact with the pharmacy staff, but I might be learning how to better utilize their online seamless processes. All right. So how did I feel? A lot of relief. Because this has typically been a source of contention for me. So to have that go really smoothly was a lot of relief. What do I notice now? I feel a lot more in control of my life. So there we go. All right, and then the final part of this video will be the formal practice. So I did a lake meditation yesterday. You know what? I'll probably do the lake meditation again. So, yep, that's what I have marked here. So I'll do the lake meditation. It says you can do either mountain or lake at least once. So we're going to do the lake twice, and then tomorrow will be yoga.
This meditation is done in a lying or reclining position and begins by paying attention to the actual sensations of contact and support as you lie here. Noticing where your body is making contact, how your weight is distributed on the floor, bed, or recliner. Actually sensing into your body, feeling your feet, your legs, hips, lower and upper body, arms, your shoulders, and your head. And when you're ready, bring awareness to breath, the actual physical sensations, feeling each breath as it comes in and goes out, letting the breath be just as it is without trying to change or regulate it in any way, allowing it to flow easily and naturally with its own rhythm and pace, knowing that you're breathing perfectly well right now. There's nothing for you to do, allowing a sense of being complete, whole in this very moment, just letting your breath be your breath. As you rest here, letting an image form in your mind's eye of a lake, a body of water, large or small, held in a receptive basin by the earth itself. Noting in the mind's eye in your own heart that water likes to pool in low places. It seeks its own level, asks to be held, contained. And letting this image come gradually into greater focus. Even if it doesn't come as a visual image, allowing the sense of this lake and feeling of its presence. The lake you're invoking may be deep or shallow, blue or green, muddy or clear. With no wind, the surface will be flat, mirror-like, reflecting trees, rocks, sky, and clouds, holding everything in itself momentarily. Wind may come and stir up waves, causing the reflections to distort and disappear. But then sunlight may sparkle in the ripples and dance in the waves in a play of shimmering diamonds. When night comes, it's the moon's turn to dance on the lake, or when the surface is still, to be reflected in it along with the outline of trees and shadows. In winter, the lake may freeze over, yet be teeming with movement and life below. And as you rest here breathing, as you establish this image of a lake in your mind's eye, allowing yourself, when you feel ready, to bring it inside yourself completely, so that your being merges with the lake, becomes one with it, so that all your energies in this moment are held in awareness, with openness and compassion for yourself, in the same way as the lake's waters are held by the receptive and accepting basin of the earth herself. Breathing as the lake, feeling its body as your body, allowing your mind and your heart to be open and receptive, moment by moment, to reflect whatever comes near, or to be clear all the way to the bottom, experiencing moments of complete stillness when both reflection and water are completely clear, and other moments perhaps when the surface is disturbed, choppy, stirred up, reflections and depth lost for the moment. And through it all, as you lie here, simply observing the play of the various energies of your own mind and heart, the fleeting thoughts and feelings, impulses and reactions, which come and go as ripples and waves, noting their effects. In contact with them, just as you are in contact with and feel the various changing energies that play in the lake, the wind, the waves, the light, the shadows and the reflections, the colors and smells. Noticing the effect of your thoughts and feelings. Do they disturb the surface and clarity of the mind's lake? Do they muddy the waters? Is that okay with you? Isn't having a rippling or a wavy surface a part of being a lake? Might it be possible to identify not only with the surface of your lake, but with the entire body of water, so that you become the stillness below the surface as well, which at most experiences only gentle undulations, even when the surface is choppy and ragged? And in the same way, in your meditation practice and in your daily life, can you be in touch not only with the changing content and intensity of your thoughts and feelings, but also with a vast, unwavering reservoir of awareness itself, residing below the surface of your mind. The lake can teach this and remind us of the lake within ourselves. If you find this image to be of value, you may want to use it from time to time to deepen and enrich your meditation practice. You might also invite this lake image to empower you and guide your actions in the world as you move through the unfolding of each day, carrying this vast reservoir of mindfulness within your heart. Dwelling here in the stillness of this moment, until signaled by the sound of the bells, we can be the lake in silence now, affirming our ability to hold in awareness and in acceptance, right now, all our qualities of mind and body. Just as the lake sits held, cradled, contained by the earth, reflecting sun, moon, stars, trees, clouds and sky, birds and light, caressed by the air and the wind, which bring out and highlight its sparkle, its vitality, its potential moment by moment. So in the time that remains before the bells which will mark the end of the meditation, continuing to sustain the lake meditation on your own, in silence, moment by moment, being the lake with its own storms and moments of peace. This meditation can be done.
All right, so there we go. Now I just need to leave a few comments. So, mind very active. Time went by really fast. And then might even be able to get a bit more sleep. I felt like if that I felt like I might have been able to fall asleep there. So yeah, which would be good. I could use some more sleep here this morning. So yeah, I mean that's all it has to be. It doesn't have to be super in detail. Didn't have the time anxiety. No time anxiety this time. So nothing pressing on my calendar. For hours. Near term. Yeah. So there we go. That's as easy as it needs to be. So there we go. So next will be the reading, more formal and informal practices. And then it would be nice to get through nonviolent communication stuff. I've definitely been through that before, so it'll be a good review, and it's something I think is really valuable. But for now, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.